They're suing me for something I didn't do. It's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of fucking money.
Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis canceled.
You know, they just decided to pull the plug.
Jake Paul just found himself in serious trouble. Gervonta "Tank" Davis has reportedly filed a lawsuit right after the canceled fight. And this isn't your typical boxing drama. This clash mixes ego, money, and a reputation hanging by a thread, all falling apart in front of the world. What was hyped as the must-see matchup of the year has now twisted into one of the most messiest and most embarrassing controversies the sport has seen in a long time.
So that fight that was supposed to go down with Jake Paul and Gervonta "Tank" Davis in Miami on November 14th is not happening. It has been canceled.
A little while ago, the entire boxing world was buzzing with excitement. Jake Paul, the bold, loud-talking YouTuber turned fighter who swore he would shake up the sport, was set to face off against Gervonta Davis, one of the most dangerous knockout artists on the planet. With Netflix backing the event and millions of dollars on the line, fans were gearing up for a showdown that promised to blur the boundary between sport and spectacle, hype and pure chaos.
Because you have someone that we come from two different sides, like, of the world. We still on the same path to get the same thing.
But then everything collapsed in an instant. Posters were already up, cameras were rolling, the contracts were signed, and suddenly the entire event was wiped off the map. Just like that, it all disappeared. Jake Paul jumped onto social media, presenting the cancellation as what he described as a brave, noble choice.
One of the most feared punchers in the sport of boxing. He's got a 93% knockout percentage. That's one of the best among current world champions.
He went online and called Gervonta a walking piece of garbage, accusing him of abuse and claiming that Netflix had shut the entire fight down because of it. Jake insisted that his company stands for women and that he couldn't, in good conscience, give Tank any kind of platform. The timing, the tone, the performance, every detail felt designed to paint Jake as the righteous hero stepping away from a villain. And for a brief moment, the act actually landed.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis team fights back. After Jake Paul canceled the fight, went on a tirade.
But the applause didn't last. The cheers slowly died out, replaced by quiet murmurs that grew louder by the hour. It began with subtle hints from people tied to the promotion, then voices from Tank's camp, and soon even seasoned boxing insiders, the ones who've seen PR smokescreens 1,000 times, began calling it out.
I never let myself go there. You know, I'm a fierce competitor.
Tank's team is now fighting back, and they're stating that Netflix did not, in fact, cancel the bout.
And then the cracks started to show. The story Jake had built simply didn't add up. Netflix hadn't canceled anything. According to Gervonta's coach, Kenny Ellis, the fight was still very much on. Jake got scared, Ellis said, blunt, direct, and devastating. With that single line, Jake's entire moral crusade crumbled. The heroic tale of courage and principle fell apart on impact. This wasn't righteousness, it was fear disguised as virtue.
He has made a significant impact on the sport of boxing. He has certainly brought new eyes to the sport. He's done so much in uplifting women's boxing.
Then came the whispers about the weight issue. The contract required Jake to hit 195 pounds, but insiders claimed he wasn't anywhere near it. Sluggish, drained, and out of shape, the man who built his entire persona on confidence and bravado suddenly looked vulnerable and exposed. Meanwhile, Tank was transforming into a razor-sharp weapon, quicker, leaner, and more dangerous with every training session. As fight night drew closer, anyone really watching could see what was coming. Jake Paul might have been marching straight toward a highlight reel knockout. Ellis didn't sugarcoat anything. Netflix didn't cancel, Jake did. He was scared. Harsh, direct, explosive.
They called Gervonta Davis the Tank for a reason. He only needs one shot to end the entire night.
Davis, big straight left, down goes Gamble.
And then came the question everyone had avoided until now. If this was truly about morals, why had Jake taken a fight with a fictionalized version of Mike Tyson, a character in the story with a criminal past? Why face someone like Mike Perry, a figure in the narrative tied to multiple allegations? Why suddenly was Gervonta the line Jake refused to cross, the one exception in a lineup where he had never drawn boundaries before?
Jake fought a guy who was his age and was also considered a boxer, and he lost.
It just pisses me the fuck off. And then
you're good. Take a break.
Suddenly, Jake's so-called moral high ground started looking less like bravery and more like a clever disguise for panic. Every tweet, every Instagram post, every polished statement on stage, all the things meant to protect his image were exposed for what they truly were: damage control. Fans began piecing everything together. The speech about standing up for women felt more like a PR shield. The righteous outrage looked like a perfectly timed escape route. Fear had shaped the narrative, and Jake had tried to wrap that fear in the costume of virtue. But once Ellis's blunt words settled in, the truth became impossible to ignore. In this story, Jake Paul wasn't stepping away from morality. He was backing out of a fight he believed he couldn't win. And the world was finally seeing what had been hiding behind the curtain all along.
Jake Paul took that and ran with it and then used it as a catalyst to stain Tank's name but not have to fight him.
At this point, Jake's reputation was on the line. He wasn't facing washed-up fighters anymore. He was about to step into the ring with a genuine threat, a world-class knockout artist who doesn't fight for clicks or viral attention. The PR story flipped in an instant. Suddenly, Jake wasn't scared. He was standing up for women. He wasn't quitting. He was taking a principled stand. For a moment, it worked, but now that same narrative was coming back to haunt him.
I believe that he was making the money he says he's making. Showtime Boxing wouldn't have gone out of business, and Showtime would have made sure they kept paying.
He's not letting this go quietly. Gervonta Davis is reportedly suing Jake Paul for defamation and breach of contract, claiming that Jake's statements caused serious damage both to his reputation and his finances. According to the lawsuit, Jake's so-called moral crusade wasn't a mistake or an accident. It was calculated. If Team Davis can prove that Netflix never canceled the fight, Jake could be looking at millions in liability.
What else to say? I didn't want to give this woman abuser a platform to grow his fans and to grow his bank account. My company champions women. I'm so sorry to everyone involved, mostly to the undercard fighters, to my team at MVP, and to my team who worked so hard.
He made his stance crystal clear. Jake wasn't defending women. He was protecting his own record. Brutal, but clear. He didn't stop there, labeling Jake's speeches about championing women as nothing more than a smokescreen, a PR stunt dressed up as morality. Old interviews and screenshots only added weight to the story. Jake looked panicked, out of his depth, and scrambling for any escape route.
Ring Magazine. Jake Paul admits he's scared and losing sleep over a Gervonta Davis fight.
Then came the Netflix twist. Sharp-eyed internet sleuths spotted something obvious. Netflix never confirmed the cancellation. No press release, no official statement. Logos remained on promotional material days after Jake's tweet. If Netflix had truly pulled out, wouldn't their branding have vanished immediately? Their silence spoke volumes. Tank's team seized the moment. Netflix hadn't canceled a thing. Jake could use their name as a shield. The timeline told the story. Jake announced the cancellation before any official word. Netflix hadn't moved an inch. He had spoken for them, and the record made it clear.
Jake Paul, the contracted weight is 195 pounds. I bet if he were to get on a scale today that he's nowhere near the fight weight. Is so many games being played.
At the core of the lawsuit lies the claim that Jake Paul didn't just back out of a fight. He publicly defamed Tank, presenting himself as morally superior while suggesting Netflix had forced the cancellation. This, according to the suit, was career sabotage. The fallout touched everything. The fight purse, sponsorship deals, promotional rights, all part of the financial ripple effect. Tank's lawyers contend that Jake upended an entire business ecosystem to protect his ego and dodge responsibility. Behind the scenes, Jake's team was scrambling, but this isn't some YouTube scandal that can be deleted with a click. This is the courtroom, where followers don't matter and receipts tell the real story.
Pull the fight, so don't blame Gervonta Davis accusations. Jake Paul has a far worse track record. Jake Paul backed out.
The part that hurts the most? Jake's moral high ground is collapsing. He claimed he wouldn't give abusers a platform, yet he had previously faced fighters like Tyson, Perry, and others with equally controversial histories. Ego cut to the point. The timing was too convenient. The moment Jake realized he couldn't control the fight, he found a reason to cancel. Tank's team fired back. He knew about our guy's past when he signed. Why act shocked now? And they're right. He wasn't blindsided, he was cornered.
It was Jake Paul who found a scapegoat, kind of, and an exit strategy and got to move.
A man who built an empire on chaos, self-promotion, and spectacle suddenly decided to play the saint when the stakes got real. He had marketed violence for profit, sold pay-per-view fights on bravado alone, and turned insults into cash. Yet, when faced with Gervonta Davis, a legitimate world-class knockout artist, he claimed moral superiority. It's the oldest PR move in the book. If you can't win, rewrite the story. And that's exactly what happened. Fear became principle. Retreat became a moral crusade. What was spun as courage was, in truth, a carefully calculated escape. And let's be honest, calculated escapes under scrutiny rarely look heroic.
He's paying the beater.
Oh shit, you're right.
Thanks for watching Ring Pulse. Hit the like button, smash the subscribe, and stay tuned for more hard-hitting boxing action.